Glasses. You're listening to 103.5 FM WNHH, NewHavenIndependent.org. And once again, I thank you for listening to today's edition of the show. My name is Michelle Turner, and in the studio with me is the Executive Director of Junta for Progressive Action. I always forget that that part is attached to it.
Yes.
Daniel Reyes is here, and we've been having a very good off-the-mic conversation about Junta and how you deal with folks to get them kind of aligned and going their way, launch, if you will. So, Daniel, thank you, first of all, for showing up, and apologies for me not being here at like 5:25.
Fine.
So I appreciate you being here and being patient. So, in talking about Junta,
Yes.
right? Can you give a little history? Because for progressive action, I think that people aren't fully sure about Junta's history.
Sure.
They know of its services, but they really don't know of its history.
Sure. So Junta was created in 1969. So we're celebrating our 50th anniversary year this year. And really what happened was that there was a group of Puerto Rican civic-minded activists who had seen that Puerto Ricans that had been mostly rural workers and factory workers that had been in the New Haven area were not able to access services in the social safety net. A lot of it was because they were monolingual Spanish and they weren't able to navigate systems. And
so when you say monolingual,
yeah,
what does that term mean?
so they only spoke Spanish.
Okay.
And so
And not different types of Spanish, or just...
well, back then it was just Puerto Ricans.
Okay.
So they just didn't speak Spanish.
Okay. All right.
And so these folks came together and created Junta for Progressive Action. And at the time, it was quite progressive to think about providing services in English and in Spanish, and create, something as simple as translating the SNAP application.
Wow.
Was quite progressive. And I think over the years, it really has been progressive in really trying to understand where the need is for the Latino communities here in the greater New Haven area, and how do we kind of adapt and tap into those resources so that folks are able to kind of excel.
So you're on Grand Avenue.
We are on Grand Avenue.
And you've been on the Grand Avenue in that space. Has it been since 69?
No,
is that the original
since
place?
69. No, it is not the original place. We actually were originally in the Hill neighborhood.
Okay.
And I think, I've only been there for 9 months, so I've been learning the history myself. But it is a fascinating history. And so,
it is.
So we were in the Hill. That's where we were created. And I believe what happened is that the city gifted the house that we're in, or gave it to us on Grand Avenue. And I believe that we moved there in 76 or 78.
Okay.
So for quite a while, Junta had the two locations in the Hill and in Fairhaven. So, and now we have just the location in Fairhaven.
In Fairhaven. And even that's 40 years ago.
It was quite a while ago.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you all have really been standing the test of time.
Yes. It's... I'm proud to say that, and it's also sad because, Junta at this point is the only multi-service agency in the city that has been really focused on Latino communities and providing culturally and linguistically appropriate services.
Yeah, and that's always something to think about, because on one hand, you are it, but on the other hand, you're it.
Yes. Well, it really makes for a daunting task because, Junta, when you say Latino... And now over the years, obviously back in 1969, it was predominantly Puerto Rican. And over the years, what it means to be Latino has grown and is quite diverse. And so what that means is that Junta is charged with ensuring that we understand all of the dynamics that the Latino communities here are experiencing, and to really kind of really highlight what is different about each of our cultures, but also the ties that bind us together as communities. And so, and understanding that the needs of individuals who may have been here for generations are not going to necessarily be the needs of somebody who just got here a couple of days ago.
Right. Because I'm sure that you've done plenty of work with the folks who came in from Hurricane Maria.
We have been doing quite a bit of work on that. And, I'm very proud that as I was coming into the leadership role, Junta was still very much in the midst of responding to the evacuees from Hurricane Maria who had arrived in Connecticut. And we still continue to really work with many families, several families. Some folks have gone back. They didn't like that winter.
Yeah, that is an adjustment. Listen, it's still one for me, so I get it.
But there are definitely lots of families that are still here and that we are working with very closely. It's quite a cultural shift.
Yes.
Moving to Connecticut and moving to New Haven. And really kind of understanding, systems and navigating those systems, being able to secure gainful employment and secure adequate housing. All of that has been very difficult for many of our families. And so we've been working very hard to make sure that they are able to reach a level of stasis where they can really begin to excel and advance collectively. But the other thing that we've been very concerned about is that you've experienced this natural disaster. You perhaps saw your home destroyed. You've had the harrowing experience of leaving Puerto Rico, and now you're here. And you were kind of in survival mode for all this time. And now, as you reach stasis, all of the emotions that you never really processed are coming flooding in. And so, from Junta's perspective, we need to be very aware of the fact that a lot of the residual effects of experiencing that are now going to start coming to the surface, and we want to make sure that we're able to address that and ensure that families are able to access the mental health services that they need in order to begin to
now
flourish.
Probably partnering with folks to get behavioral health services for a lot of those families.
Yes, exactly. One of the great things that we, our after school program, we took in quite a few children that had been evacuees from Puerto Rico, and I'm so happy to hear all the stories of the children who were quite, they were having difficulty in school. They weren't making friends, and really being able to participate in our after school program has shown marked improvement. Their grades have improved. Their ability to socialize has improved. And, the program is designed to provide academic support and then artistic mediums to kind of find their personal expression. And that has really provided them the opportunity to kind of channel those emotions and to be able to kind of, process what they experienced, which then obviously allowed them the opportunity to then begin to set roots here in New Haven.
But that's sort of who you are, isn't it? Sort of like taking in folks and getting them acclimated.
Yes.
Not only to being in the city, but to this part of America.
Yes.
Because it's very different from the island.
It is. I mean, quite frankly, any Latin American country you come from is going to be quite different because we don't experience, the winters that we have here. Or so it's very different. And I think that in many countries we still have very much our agrarian roots, and that kind of mode of life is very different than coming to to Connecticut or to New Haven, where it's just it's a little. I mean, we don't think about New Haven as having significant hustle and bustle, but it's quite a bit of hustle and bustle for folks who are not quite used
from
to
small
that.
towns.
Exactly.
From small towns, and may not have as many people or, as many, paved roads, or, because that happens when people come from different parts of the U.S.
Exactly.
And they come to a New Haven and they're like, wow, wait a minute. And for us, we know, okay, it's a small city. We're not New York by any means. But it is a different type of life.
It is. And so that's why, we really focus on really taking a higher touch approach and really kind of thinking about the nuance and understanding that it's not kind of a one size fits all model. And really, if we truly want our families to advance and our communities to advance, we need to really kind of engage in that in a meaningful way.
So talk about your services and your partnerships.
Sure. So, we have the agency has 3 departments. We have our Junta 360, which is our social services department, and that really is focused on meeting the acute needs that our families are experiencing. And within that, we have our immigration services as well. So one of the things that we really think about is the fact that the objective for Junta 360 is to get families stabilized and get them to a level of stasis where we can really kind of think about what the longer term solution is going to be. And for a lot of folks, immigration can be a destabilizing factor for them. But it's not the only destabilizing factor. So we want to really look at things from a whole person approach and very comprehensively. And so that's why we've housed immigration work in there. And so we're not just dealing with your immigration case, but we're dealing with all of the other dynamics that go really
along
kind
with it.
of create a system where you're not gonna be able to move forward. And that's really what Junta 360 is about. And so we do a lot around connection to benefits, housing assistance, energy assistance, legal assistance. It's on not just immigration matters, but other civil matters as well. And then our Junta Reyes is our community and economic advancement department. And that, for me, is where I really think the work is, because that's where we really want to create the long-term sustainable plan for our families to really think about how are they going to economically and socially advance. And so within that department, we do ESL, bilingual GED, computer literacy, financial literacy, connecting folks to work readiness programs and thinking about how we guide them through those programs so that we are able to kind of interface and catch the crisis before the crisis occurs. Because, navigating workforce development can be quite daunting. And a lot of times, because we have that relationship already with folks, we know them already. And so we can really kind of identify and say, these are the things we think you should think about. And really also manage expectations, because we know you want the $100,000 a year job, but it's probably not going to happen really quickly. So let's all be patient and let's all work together toward that.
Let's get you toward that.
And so that's really where, what Junta Rises is really about. And some of the things that we've been thinking about incubating is for folks who may not necessarily be a good fit for workforce development, entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And so some of the things that, I've been looking at and kind of working with folks like Collab and the Innovation Center at District New Haven is thinking about how do we stimulate entrepreneurship for folks who either because of their immigration status, they are not really appropriate for workforce development, or because of their criminal history or a record, it makes it difficult for them. So how do we kind of work with you to think about what do you want? What kind of business would you like to think about? And how do we as an organization foster and support you in that? And so that's one of the things that we've been really focused on now. As we are kind of at this mid-century of our life as an organization, I think we're really kind of pivoting and thinking differently about what we're about and what we're going to be providing and collaborating with our families and with our neighbors. And then obviously we have our Junta Youth department, which is really it's about regeneration. It's about laying the foundation so that children can really engage in vision creation from the onset, as opposed to kind of when they're 20 or 30 or 40 thinking about where am I going to go?
Where am I going? What am I doing? Yeah.
And so we have our after school program. We have our youth in action program, which is a teen leadership program.
Okay.
And then we have our Big Turtle Village, which is the summer camp program that we run. And so
now is that a day program?
No, it's a sleepaway camp.
Oh.
It's like 1 week in August. We are actually in the process of preparing for it, and I believe in July the applications are going to go out. So we're excited about it. It's Haddam
Yes.
State Park.
Yes.
So it's a camp.
That's
it's
nice.
Actual camping. So
Yeah.
You know,
and trust me, as a kid from Bridgeport who got taken out into the country, it's an experience.
I know. Well, I'm a city person myself, but I have told the camp coordinator, I'm going to go out there because I'm new and I want to know what it's like. And
right.
I think it's incredibly important to experience all of our programs.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a big camper, but I'm going. Everyone pray for me.
Yes, I will. I'll put one up for you. I'll tell you a story about my experience when we get off the air.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a definite change if it's your first time going out, you know. But it's funny because I think what happened for me was by the end of the week, I was like, oh, I'm leaving. Yeah, because at first, you know, because there's a whole bunch of you, right, that are like, why are we out here?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? You know, and by the second or third day, you're like, all right, I can live with this.
Okay.
You know, and then the next 2 days, you're loving it, and then it's time to go. You know, it's like, oh, can I come back? You know, so I think for the most part, I think for most city kids, it really gives you a taste of something else.
Yes.
You know, that you may not have thought about, not necessarily even didn't want to experience, but just, I never thought about this.
Yeah.
So it's really about exposure.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, you know, taking basically exposing them to an environment that's not really their universe.
Right.
You know, it adds, when they come back, they're changed. It adds to that universe that they're in now. It's become bigger. And I think those are also opportunities that really can stimulate vision creation. Dreaming, honestly, is what it is. And we want our children to dream and to desire and want a life different and, you know, greater than they are right now.
Yeah.
So
that's huge. So where do you see Junta growing? What is it that you think that you not necessarily can do better, but do more of?
Sure. You know, I think we do very well in our social services department and really kind of connecting people. And I'm very, very proud of that. But I also am very, you know, I've spent many years in the nonprofit sector and really know that, you know, that is definitely a solution. I just don't think it's the long-term solution. And I really think that what I want Junta and what staff at Junta are really focused on is thinking about sustainable solutions. And I think that is really around economic advancement for our families and our communities. And so how do we as an organization engage in that in a meaningful way? And, you know, so that's really where, you know, I've been on this exploration, looking at different programs, looking at the models, trying to understand how we can interface in a way that will make it possible for where there are barriers, we can break down those barriers.
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily think that we need to be a workforce development organization. I do think we need to figure out how we can interface more effectively with partners in that manner, and also think about how do we stimulate entrepreneurship for folks who may not be eligible for workforce development. Or even if just in general, you've been working and you have an idea and we can really work to incubate that. You know, one of the things that we've done is, you were at our open house.
Yes, so I was.
We had an open house and
it was very nice.
Thank you. But one of the things that I thought was, how do we foster entrepreneurship? And so I had been aware that, you know, because folks come and first of all, I love walking through the neighborhood. I love seeing people. I love coming down and greeting people. And I love, you know, I mean, I open the door, I'm walking around.
and can I just say that, you know, shout out to C-Town with all of their fresh everything.
Yes. Exactly. So I thought to myself, what if we invited our folks who we know have their little side businesses the opportunity to come and sell their goods?
Yeah, and some people were there doing that.
Exactly. So
at the open house,
we had 8 entrepreneurs that came and they sold food or their wares that they make, and I thought, this is great. when you're a vendor, you usually have to pay for their spot. And so here we are giving you an opportunity. We have a captive audience that's coming through. We actually made it an announcement in our invitations that this was going to be happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a way in which I felt we could stimulate their personal economies. And it was very well received. I was very excited about it. I mean, the open house is going to be an annual event. And I think next year we're going to spend more time and have the entire parking lot is going to have all of those folks there. So,
well, I got a nice pair of earrings.
I know. Well, I tell you, I bought one of everything from everybody. So.
Well, you would have to because you want to encourage.
I know. I ate so much food; it was crazy.
And the food was good.
It was delicious.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
it's like, okay, I'm going to stay away from that because I've had enough of that. So let me sample what's over here.
I know the vendor that was selling the pastries.
Yes, I'm like, okay, I'll have half of that. And they were relatively, they weren't huge.
No,
but I knew that if I had more than one, it was going to be dangerous.
Yes,
so I'll just split that with somebody. Yeah. So I split, some stuff, and it was good. It was really good.
Yeah.
So I think that was a great idea for you all because I think in the scope of things, when those vendors go back into the community, they tell other entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And then they'll ask, the other entrepreneurs will probably want to know more information and come to you for that.
And, before the folks came, we told them, be prepared to have your information ready. If somebody wants to know, maybe they want you to cater, maybe they want you to come someplace. So, I think that's what we need to be able to do. Another thing that we're going to do is that, we're going to participate in the Caribbean Pride Festival.
Yes.
Which
is great. And I'm going to have Kay on.
Okay.
She's coming on.
Well,
so
lots of Latinos are Caribbean.
Yes.
So.
Indeed. And live a lot, and not to kind of sidebar though, but not to change the conversation. But I never will forget going out of the country and going to the Caribbean. And I saw all these Latino people. I'm like, wait a minute. Because I was young.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, nobody told me that, and they had all types of ethnicities.
Yes.
But there were a lot of Latinos. So.
Yeah. So, I'm committed to making sure that Junta has representation at the festival. But I've also committed to reaching out to our entrepreneurs and saying, do you want to sell your things there? Junta will subsidize the cost of you to be there. So I've got all the information. So I'm like, let me know. And then what we're going to do is, because what I want is to make sure that if everything should be all butter for our entrepreneurs. So no costs incurred to you. So we're going to pay the fee for them to be there so that they could sell their goods there.
So how do you get your funding? Is it a combination of things?
It is a combination of things. So, we have our government contracts. We have some state funding, some city funding. Right now, we're really focused on increasing our individual giving. It's really important because a lot of these things that are very creative, it's a little harder to kind of, use dollars like that for those kinds of initiatives that we're trying to incubate to see what's there and what we can really there's no metrics, there's no data there. So we really need to be able to kind of look at that and be planned and purposeful about it. So what we're really doing is reaching out to folks and doing a lot around reaching out to foundations, doing some individual giving. We actually have a fundraiser coming up on June 20th. So we do a lot around that because, the government does give us money, but, like most nonprofits know, it's not enough. And these days it's been very scarce. So we're really, really concerned about it. But I'm committed to making sure that what we are about is being proactive and really kind of diversifying our funding streams and making sure that there is complete accountability of how those funds are being used as well. So, one of the things I think shocked the staff there is because I'm very much a numbers person and data and statistics and I'm just like, well, how do we quantify that? No, let me think about that. So,
and they're like,
what?
Okay, what? All right.
I I know. Well, now that they've actually seen some results with the data, they're like, wow.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. Now I see it. You gave me numbers. Now I'm looking at it from this standpoint. Okay, now I get it.
Yeah. First they thought I was crazy.
Anytime somebody parts a new vision.
Yes.
And people, not to say that folks are stagnant, but when it's a new idea, there's always a little difficulty in jumping on board.
Of course. Change is always difficult, and that's one of the things that when I came to Junta, I was very aware of, and really kind of presenting my vision, and really, and that vision was really created out of conversations with staff, conversation with our neighbors and our participants. And then kind of crystallizing that for them, and, and actually putting it together in an agency strategy document. So, that's the other thing, I want them, it's not just things I'm pulling out of the air. This is how we're going to achieve our mission with this particular approach. And so that's what we've been doing for the last 9 months.
Are you seeking new collaborations?
Yes. So we have, like I said, we have been thinking about ways we can work with collab. In the Innovation Center at District New Haven, there's this entity called U of Next, and they're really around leadership development. And so I have been working with them to kind of create a hybrid of our Youth in Action, which is our teen leadership program, that can really espouse the principles of the U of Next curriculum. And then what we're trying to do is to kind of scale it out a little bit. So the model before was that we would reach out to the parents of teenagers, and then they would come to Junta and they would participate in this teen leadership program. But really what I want us to do is to kind of go out into the community. So I've been meeting with high school principals and talking to them about the program and laying the foundations for next school year. And what I want to do is go to the different high schools and really, through a process, determine what that particular teen cohort would look like. So is that Latino youth? Is that young women of color? Is that Latina women Latina women? Is it LGBTQ youth of color? And then create these cohorts that would engage in the curriculum at the different schools, and somehow create a steering committee where the different cohorts would ultimately come together for a summit. So
that's great.
And so that's really what I've been working on over these last few months as well. And I think we're ready to go live next school year. So it's going to be exciting.
That's great.
But that's a great collaboration.
Yeah.
We have we're working with the Food Bank of Connecticut to co-locate a mobile food pantry once a month at the John Martinez School. So that's a really great partnership. We work with the doctors at Fairhaven Community Health. Did you kind of talk to the docs workshops, which has been very helpful as well?
Okay.
So I think that, a lot of what we I want us to be thinking about is that, things don't occur in isolation, and we need to really kind of create this to stitch together this netting that really can kind of grab everybody and lift everybody up.
Well, I mean, because in a way, you guys are kind of on that corridor, right? You got Fairhaven Health down the street. Yeah. Like you said, you have John Martinez around the corner. Is there still a Spanish Merchants Association?
There is still a Spanish Merchants Association.
And
I haven't gotten a chance to know them as well, but I really am trying to kind of get to know everybody. And, the other thing is that I'm not from New Haven, so I had to kind of explain who I am in general. So, they're like, who's this guy?
And you know what? Most of the time when people are not from here, you kind of need somebody who is to kind of navigate not only the social strata, but the business strata.
Yes.
Because sometimes people are like, okay, what you want?
I know. Well,
what is it that you're coming to me for?
I know. I have to tell you, I've met some really helpful people.
I'm sure you have,
who have been very generous with me and really kind of helped me understand and where to navigate. And I don't have any problem saying, "Hey, I'm new."
Right. and that's real, because I think sometimes people expect people to just flock to them instead of going out into the community.
Yeah, no.
And you can't do that. That's one of the no-nos in New Haven. You've got to kind of make the rounds and say,
of course.
"Hi, I'm new. I'm so-and-so, and I'm with this."
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, okay."
Yes, of
you know,
course.
but,
Yeah.
you know, at first people are always like, let's see what you're really about.
I know.
You know? But we are welcoming. I think that's part of our New England-ish kind of personality.
Yes, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I tell people, it's only been 9 months, and they're like, "Wow, we thought it was longer." And I'm like, I'm like, it's felt it some days. But
I was gonna say, it probably feels like it some days, but overall,
no,
it is 9 months.
Yeah.
What's the biggest surprise that you've had about your organization? Has it been how you are planted in the community, or is it something else that you say, you know what, I didn't expect that, but that's really good. It's good that we're having this effect.
You know, I think that one of the things that I was surprised at is that, I mean, when I went through the interview process and I did my research, this is very much from the exterior. I understood Junta to be a multi-service agency. I don't think the organization necessarily crystallized that very well, and so it was very, there was a very large emphasis on our immigration work, and it's incredibly important. But I think that what happened is that we didn't effectively, kind of let all of the other jewels in the crown shine. And so I think that that effect basically meant that we were just for one subset of the Latino communities. And and I think that was, and the thing is that for 50 years it's never been that way, and so it really has been about kind of talking about, really kind of in a very cohesive way, kind of really sharing with folks. Yes, we are definitely about working with providing, services to recent arrivals. We're definitely about that, but we're also about working with, recent arrivals from Puerto Rico. We're also about working with many, Latino residents who have been here for a long time.
Yeah.
Still feel the economic, conditions have not improved for themselves. And so I think that was a little bit of a shock for me, because it's about trying to change people's perceptions of who we are. And and I feel bad because it's just like I went there to I saw all these wonderful programs, and kind of nobody knew that they were happening. And so,
and that's what we talked about before the mics were on.
Yeah.
How people are familiar with Junta, but I don't think that everybody knows what else they offer.
Yes.
I think people realize that your first step or first reach is to the Latino community.
Yes.
But after that, people are like, okay, well, I know that they do immigration and I know that they have ESL classes.
Yes.
But if you ask somebody who is not fully of that community, then they're kind of like, well, call them.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and and I think that requires me to really be a real cheerleader and to kind of go out there and to pound the pavement. And my style in general is to very much understand that if our constituents are the Latino communities of the greater New Haven area, then we need to be at multiple tables, and we need to make sure that we're representing the voice and the needs of our neighbors, and really kind of
that community.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't necessarily directly affect us, it could potentially, and we need to really be a part of that. I mean, we've been very active in the census work and making sure that Junta is doing its part to ensure that all residents are counted. I looked at, we've looked at the data, and we know that Fairhaven was severely undercounted along with other neighborhoods. And I really want to make sure that we're counted, because I think it's incredibly important. And, and we have to make the case
That was going to be my next question. How are you going to convince?
Yeah.
How are you going to convince people, especially folks who are undocumented, that it's important for them to be included in this count and not be afraid?
It is true. I mean, I think that our saving grace is that we are a trusted brand, we are a trusted entity, and I think that we're going to have to capitalize on that to make sure that we know that folks do understand that. And I mean, we're already kind of thinking about ways we can use Junta's space to kind of, if maybe it's a census fair and all of a sudden we invite everybody in and, something. I mean, the census is going to be online. We have a computer lab. Maybe that's what we do. I don't know. But, I'm really thinking about how are we going to do our part to make sure that all of our neighbors are counted, because it has an impact for all of us.
Absolutely.
And so that's, in many ways, those are the things that I think that we have to go to those multiple tables and make sure that our voice is being heard and that our presence is known as an organization.
You're listening to the show on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We are streaming live on TuneIn Radio and newhavenindependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook Live. Just go to facebook.com/New Haven Independent or go to your own Facebook page and look us up. In the studio with me is Daniel Reyes. He is the executive director of Junta for Progressive Action. It's their 50th year.
Yes.
And they've been on Grand Avenue since the 70s.
Yes.
I don't think that they're looking to move. I think they're staying where they are.
Yes.
But they've got a lot of fantastic things coming up in the year. And so I went to the open house.
Yes.
Is there something that you're having in the fall?
Well, in the next week though we're having
next week
we're having a summer salsa fundraiser.
Ooh, I didn't know it was that.
Yes,
is that the 20th?
Yes, that's the 20th.
Okay,
so that's going to be at the Bergamos Community Theater on Blatchley Avenue.
Yes, with our dear friend Rafael Ramos.
Yes, very much a supporter of Junta.
Yes,
and we're going to have a salsa band, Carlos y su Momento Musical. And we're going to have some of our community entrepreneurs that we have contracted to provide the catering for that.
I was going to say, what's the food?
So there's going to be arroz con gandules and some chicken. And there's going to be, I think we're having pozole. So we're going to have a little international, multinational Latino food.
Oh, yes.
And I think we're working on one other vendor who's going to do catering for us. So. And we are also going to be at the top of the event. We're going to be having a small graduation ceremony for the graduates of our Junta Rises ESL program.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So there are 34 graduates who not only completed the course, but passed to the next level.
How long is the ESL class? Is it as long as you need to take it, or you finish in 6 months, or I mean, I'm asking.
No, so it runs through. It mirrors the school year.
Okay,
and there's a survivors, beginners, and intermediate.
Okay,
and so some people over the course of the school year might go from survival to beginners, or from beginners to intermediate. But more often than not, they will stay the entire school year in their level. And so the graduates for this class are the ones who graduated, and they have either gone from survival to beginners, or from beginners to intermediate, or from intermediate on to hopefully fluent.
You got 34 people. That's great.
Yes, it's great.
It's a good number.
We've had about, I think it was 62 students altogether. So, and then now some didn't actually move on to the next level, but what we're doing with them is that we've asked them to. Obviously, we give them a certificate of completion because we're very proud of that energy and the work that they put in there.
And the fact that they showed up every day.
Exactly. But we want them to know that we want them to come back. So we've already kind of got them pre-registered for the next school year, and really kind of begin to work with them again. And I think that kind of creating this graduation ceremony gives a little bit of incentive. It's a little something to work toward. And so I'm hoping that this becomes an annual event as well. So.
That's nice.
So it's $25 tickets, which includes the concert and the food. There's a cash bar.
Okay.
And we will have some other community entrepreneurs that will be there that are going to be selling their goods. So
what time does it start?
Starts at 5:00. It goes from 5 to 9 on Thursday, June 20th. You can look up on our Facebook page for the event, or you can RSVP and pay at the door by emailing info@juntainc.org, juntainc.org.
Okay.
But in the fall, we are having our 50th anniversary gala. So
nice.
It's a big event. It'll be September 21st. And one of the things that we're doing, because it is our 50th anniversary, is we're kind of reimagining the gala and reimagining our awards. And so we have commissioned 4 new leadership awards that are going to be named after the 4 principal founders of Junta.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So there's going to be the Gumercindo del Rio Legacy Award, which is really kind of a lifetime achievement award. There's the Pura Delgado Leadership Award. There's the Marcos Ocasio Partner Award, and the which is somebody who has partnered with Junta and a leader who has partnered with Junta. And then the the Carlos Rodriguez Trailblazer Award, which is really kind of highlighting an emerging leader who has really focused on the advancement of Latino communities in Connecticut.
Oh, that's great.
So what we're trying to do is to really kind of create these awards that are really focused not just on Junta, but focused on leaders who are invested in the advancement of Latino communities across Connecticut.
And that's inspiring.
Yeah.
I think if you're talking about bringing more leaders to the table from the different programs that you're getting ready to invest in, then it's important for them to see that their work is going to be appreciated and rewarded.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's important that, Junta is the oldest, entity in the state. And I think we bear the onus of making sure that we're lifting up our leaders and that we're lifting up our communities, and that what we're doing is we're engaging everyone in positive and empowering ways.
And we've talked a little bit about Junta's future, but what is the immediate piece you'd like to see happen besides the teen leadership?
So I think the most immediate couple things is to get off the ground our work readiness ESL program, which is going to be an intensive work readiness ESL program that will kind of operate weekends and evenings for working folks.
Okay.
And the objective for that is to really work with folks to think about getting the language skills that they need in order to get improved or greater employment at this point. The entrepreneurship piece as well is what we're really focused on, and thinking about how Junta can position itself to kind of create more of a cooperative that allows business or individuals to engage in their business ventures. And then our Youth in Action, and really creating a more scaled out citywide program that really works to empowering our next generation of leaders.
What would you like the public to know about Junta?
I would love the public to know that Junta is really committed to the advancement of all communities, and that we're committed to the advancement of all of our families and anybody who comes through our doors. And I want them to know that we are here for everybody. And I really want folks to know that at this point, we are really about thinking about strategic improvement. We're about thinking about the long-term solutions as opposed to kind of the Band-Aid approach. And I really think that we are in the process of transforming, really becoming an adult organization at this point. It took us 50 years, but I think that really what's been happening is that we understand, we've been doing this for a long time, with what we know now, how do we change and transform our communities?
It's an excellent thing to strive for.
Yeah.
Excellent. Daniel Reyes, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate the opportunity.
And your innovation. I think it's going to be a great 50th year.
Yes.
And if someone wants to give,
of course,
how do they support Junta?
So folks can do a one-time donation if they'd like. Well, first they can come to our fundraiser.
I'll let you say it.
The other thing that folks, if they go to our website, juntainc.org, they can click on the donate button. There are two ways you can donate. You can do a one-time donation, or you could become a compañero, which is our sustaining supporter circle. And those are folks who commit to doing a monthly small donation over the course of the year. That supporter circle is actually a subset of our donors, and they actually have more communication with us, and they get special invitations to our community events. And at the end of the year, we have a compañeros appreciation reception. So that's another way folks can support us.
Okay. All right. Again, Daniel Reyes is the executive director of Junta for Progressive Action. I thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time. And please come out and support the event next Thursday, the 20th, 5 p.m. at Bergamos. Thank you all for listening once again, because you never know who's going to be on the show. Thank you, Harry. Appreciate it. See you next week. We're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was great.
Good. I'm glad you liked it. Because, I think what happens is so many times folks are like, oh my God, what am I going to say? How long am I going to talk?
Oh.
What is this going to be like?
Oh, no.
But you're a talker.
You never get me to shut up. You got to say, stop it.
You're a talker. So that's not an issue.
No. No, not at all.
I know, and that's good though. Because, well, you have to,